Nikki Haley was on the ropes during the debate. We've got a tag team duo, Vivek and Ron DeSantis, going right after her on a number of different issues. And Vivek really came out hard. He actually held up a sign, his notes, that said, Nikki equals corrupt. And it was just blow after blow. And she was parrying these things all throughout the night. We've got a bunch of clips here that we'll go through, including this one where Ron says he stood up for little girls, Nikki Haley didn't. This one from Vivek saying Nikki equals corrupt, going after her time on different defense contractors boards. We've got this one, the overview of Vivek's notes. That's basically what he was referencing. All you need for this kind of debate. He goes after her and the government for talking about them taking our tweets, our retweets, gobbling them up with subpoenas to the formerly known Twitter and more, saying you can't put lipstick on Dick Cheney and so on. And so we're going to go through these and more, but we'll get started with this tag team duo. And this was a concern that we had here from Nikki Haley. We played the clips here where Nikki was saying that as soon as she goes into office on day one, she wants names. I want names, because she didn't like the anonymous trolls who were out there on the interwebs, maybe dunking on her on the X platform saying, hey, why are you so corrupt and a partisan? And then she wanted the government, I guess, to require everybody to identify themselves, to dox themselves so that the government can monitor them and censor their speech even harder, I guess. So this is Nikki Haley, who is catching it from both Ron and Vivek during the debates.
Because I think we've got too much cyberbullying. I think we've got child pornography and all of those things. But having said that, I never said government should go and require anyone's name.
That's false. She said, I want your name.
She
as President of the United States, her first day in office, she said, one of the first things I'm going to do,
I said we were going to get the millions of bots.
She wants government ID to dox every American.
That's what she said. You can roll the tape. She said, I want your name. And that was going to be one of the first things she did in office. And then she got real serious blowback, and understandably so, because it'd be a massive expansion of government. We have anonymous speech. The Federalist Papers were written with anonymous writers. Jay, Madison, and Hamilton, they went under Publius. It's something that's important, and especially given how conservatives have been attacked and they've lost jobs and they've been canceled. You know the regime would use that to weaponize that against our own people. It was a bad idea, and she should own up to it.
So that was a spicy exchange. And Ron's right about that, right? The Federalist Papers and a lot of important political figures and political ideas are spread anonymously. And the government is even keeping lists of the anonymous people, right? We saw in the X files, the Twitter files, they released spreadsheets that the different government agencies and the different third-party entities were all keeping of different people. And they want lists, right? They're assembling them and they're sending them over. Elvis Chan sends them over to San Francisco. Hey, there are problems. Can you do something about this? Rob Flaherty, the White House chief or the social media strategist formerly, was doing the same thing. And so Nikki Haley wants to make it easier for them. And it's no surprise that she's on the board of a bunch of these different, defense contractors and so on. And so we've got a bunch of additional clips here. And this one is of Vivek talking about her being corrupt, that she's just got a corruption problem. And that might have something to do with her opinions on why Americans should be doxxed by the government.
At the first debate, she said that only a woman can get this job done. That's what she said. After the third debate, when I criticized Ronna McDaniel after 5 failed years of leadership of this party and criticized Nikki for her corrupt foreign dealings as a military contractor, she said that I have a woman problem. Nikki, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think that that's what people need to know. Nikki is corrupt. This is a woman who will send your kids to die so she can buy a bigger house. This is the problem. Using identity politics more effectively than Kamala Harris is a form of intellectual fraud. And it actually needs to end. There's our donor puppet masters wielding their puppet right up here tonight. This is how this game is played. The puppet masters put up their puppet, and I reject the use of identity politics in this party. It has been a cancer coming from the left, and I'm sick and tired of the double standards the people of this country are too. Having 2 X chromosomes does not immunize you from criticism.
Thank you, sir.
Nikki equals corrupt, holding that up, and people are memeing that into oblivion, obviously. That little symbol here, right? People are taking that all over the interwebs and just kind of putting whatever they want on that now. So Vivek will meme this into history. And I think that there is more here, because he is also saying that she had some extensive relationships with a lot of these entities. You can see this is his notes from the balcony. Nikki equals corrupt is the thing that he led with. And of course, that is a lot of fun. Now, he also had some other fun comments about Nikki. And here, we'll bounce around. Let's see where we want to go. This was a good clip from Vivek, but this one is, I think, the better version of this.
So first of all, I think we just learned something from Christie. We learned three things right there. First of all, Christie also doesn't know what provinces in eastern Ukraine he actually wants us to fight for.
All right, so that was the one. Let's go over to Vivek. Here it is. This is Vivek challenging Nikki Haley to name 3 provinces in Ukraine where she wants to send a ton of money, billions of dollars, maybe even Americans at some point, to fight on behalf of something. Here he is demanding that she list just simply 3 provinces. She has a tough time doing it. Doesn't even attempt it. Here is Vivek.
So foreign policy experience is not the same as foreign policy wisdom. I want everybody at home to note that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you, that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for. And there's her puppet masters right there, the donors right there that are playing her like the puppet master.
Hold on.
All right, so now Nikki, in the aftermath, did not respond with the name, bomb, right? And it's an interesting exchange there, and it was kind of a risky gamble there for Vivek, because what if she just stood right off? What if she said Donbass and this, and just labeled all of them, right? He'd be like, okay, she's pretty good about that. But she didn't. She kind of just sat there and, took it and didn't respond, didn't come back, and maybe that's the right debate move, is not to respond. Like, it's not a call response type of thing. Like, you don't play into their frame, you don't play into their hand, so to speak. But I would imagine if she knew him, you'd drop those out pretty quick, right? Wrong, Vivek. Boom, boom, boom. Name 5 of them if you know them, if you've really studied the issue and it's something that you're really invested in. So that is Vivek going after her on that one. And he also kind of laced into Christie as well on the similar issue. And we saw that exchange here as well. Here is Vivek.
Just learned something from Christie. We learned 3 things right there. First of all, Christie also doesn't know what provinces in eastern Ukraine he actually wants us to fight for. Chris, your version of foreign policy experience was closing a bridge from New Jersey to New York. Yeah. So do everybody a favor. Just walk yourself off that stage, enjoy a nice meal, and get the hell out of this race. When it comes to just learn something from Chris.
Enjoy a nice meal and get the hell out of this race. Interesting there, right? So he's just on a tear. Here he is talking about you can put lipstick on Dick Cheney, but it's still a fascist neocon, going after both of these neocons.
Time when you and we're going to be done. So listen up to this. If these people want to send your sons and daughters to go die in Ukraine, they've been arguing for it for a year. $200 billion of our taxpayer money sent over. Neither of them could even name for you the provinces that they actually want to protect. And this is the people who have been touting their so-called foreign policy experience. It is intellectual fraud. These people are lying to you. The same people who told you about weapons and mass destruction in Iraq to justify that invasion didn't know the first thing about it, yet they sent thousands of our sons and daughters to go die.
They did.
The same people who told you the same in Afghanistan, where the Taliban is still in charge 20 years later. $7 trillion of our national debt due to these toxic neocons. You can put lipstick on a Dick Cheney, it is still a fascist neocon.
Thank
and
you,
you
Mr.
have to see that today.
Thank you, Mr.
It's Dick Cheney all over again in this party.
Thank you, Mr.
Oof, man. So he is just going hard, right? He's lacing into everybody, not even playing around. This was an exchange with Ron. Okay, so Ron was also going after Nikki Haley, saying, I stood up for little girls. Nikki Haley didn't, and so she's just catching it from both sides here.
And this shows how hypocritical Ron continues to be. When he was running for governor and they asked him about that, he said he didn't think bathroom bills were a good use of his time. You can go look that up.
I signed a bathroom bill in Florida, so
But
that's obviously not true.
The idea that you would say that I was against that.
You didn't. You killed it. I signed it. I stood up for little girls. You didn't do it. And there was this going on. I was actually just in South Carolina. Some of the legislators told me at the time there were boys going into the girls. That's the whole reason why they did it.
No.
And so they say when she does that explanation that doesn't hold water. And this is the upstate of South Carolina.
Ron,
I signed the bill. I protected the girls.
South Carolinians?
She did not do it.
Do you know
I know
South Carolinians?
that.
Because South Carolina.
So Ron also going after her on that one. Here's another one from Vivek, and this is where he was explaining that we're marching towards fascism, and I think this was a nice exchange. He says, I'm the only one talking about January 6th. Why am I the only one saying this was an inside job? Why am I the only one talking about Saudi Arabia and 9/11? Why? Now, he gets some pushback on this. He shows up after the fact, and this woman from CNN's like, why are you such a conspiracy theorist? And so here is what that sounded like. The nice summary of all of the issues. Here's Vivek.
Here's my issue with all three of my other colleagues on this debate stage. Is all three of them have been licking Donald Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you attacked him in your
Nikki
book
Haley.
a year ago.
Same thing with Christie as a lobbyist, begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the debates last time around. These people are now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision he made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. Why am I the only person on the stage, at least, who can say that January 6th now does look like it was an inside job?
Yeah.
That the government lied to us for 20 years about Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11. That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform. That the 2020 election was indeed stolen by big tech.
And
that
the CIA.
2016 election, the one that Trump won for sure, was also one that was stolen from him by the national security establishment.
FBI.
That actually put up the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that they knew was false.
Fake.
There's a reason why I'm the only person on the stage who can say
you.
these things. That's what it's going to take, not people who are licking his boots one time and now Monday morning quarterbacking him and criticizing him when it's convenient.
Whoa, that's some good stuff, man. I like that list of issues there, okay? And Deep State definitely does not. They do not like that. Every other person on that stage is cringing right now. Oh, no, January 6th. Oh, no, 9/11. Oh, no, Crossfire Hurricane. Oh, no. They can't stand it. And so shout out to Vivek for bringing that up and to our attention. Now, after the debate was over, he obviously was throwing elbows and very enjoyable. But we got this exchange captured by Western Lensman, says that here on CNN, they had this conversation where this woman was saying, Vivek, why are you such a conspiracy theorist? How dare you talk about these issues and pierce the veil of this corporate cover-up that we're trying to do to stop people from talking about these issues? What's happening?
Let's just take two of those. Let's start with January 6th.
Sure.
There is no evidence that it is an inside job. It was a fringe conspiracy theory that the Trump-appointed FBI director, Christopher Wray, has said explicitly over and over is just not true.
So let me, I appreciate the opportunity to address it. I was an anti-woke crusader leaving the business world, and if you had asked me 3 years ago, is there some chance January 6th is an inside job? I would have said that was crazy talk. I would say, looking at the facts of the video footage that have come out, Dana, it is shocking that you still haven't gotten a clear answer of how many federal agents were in the field that day. Look at now the video footage of actually throwing explosives and rubber bullets into what was a peaceful crowd, then releasing to the public what came in response to that. But now look at the video footage that was released, and I'm glad we're talking about it because viewers deserve to look at that footage. Capitol Police literally letting people in who were then now prosecuted. Some of them have gone on to commit suicide because of what the government's doing. That is a case of entrapment. And I think the government has not been transparent about this, which is why I then brought up another case where the government now 20 years later with declassified documents tells us that they lied to us at the time. And so I do think we have a government that's consistently lied to its people.
An inside job suggests that everybody who attacked the Capitol was part of that.
I didn't say that, but I was saying that there's entrapment going on. There's entrapment going on, and this looks like a case of entrapment. And if you look at even over the last day.
What do you mean by entrapment?
Entrapment means that the police goaded people to do.
What do you think entrapment means? It's like when somebody asks a question and you don't have any idea what they're saying. They're like, oh, that's an interesting word. Perspicacious. Yeah, perspicacious. What do you think perspicacious means? Of course I know what it means, but what do you think it means? You go first.
Do something otherwise than they otherwise wouldn't have done, and then they arrest them for actually doing it.
And you don't think it was actually the former president was trying to get
I think that was the media narrative. Now look at actually a hard case.
We heard heard him with our own ears.
I'm going to ask you about a case and see what you think about this, right? You guys said this for a long time about the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. Suddenly gone silent after it comes out at trial that absolutely that was a case of entrapment, which is why 2 of those people were acquitted. So I'm saying this as somebody who, on the other side of this, as a biotech CEO, somebody who was even anti-woke, but if I was looking at this, I would have said a lot of this is crazy talk. But if you actually get into the details, I think it is startling how much the government has systematically lied. And I think it's both parties over the course of the last 25 years.
But on the
left used to be better at pointing this out and being skeptical of the government, but now it's the right.
Which is the most aggressive, offensive attack on the U.S. Capitol and on democracy itself that we have seen in our lifetime and in many, many lifetimes. To say without evidence that it was an inside job
I'm not saying it without
dangerous.
evidence. I think that what we're seeing now is the video footage that's come out. I was in a different place before a lot of that evidence came out, but you have to respond to the evidence. What is your response, or what is anybody else on CNN's response to the video footage that was released of Capitol Police literally just peacefully allowing people into the Capitol?
What we know
or
is
shooting
that
into peaceful crowds.
850 people have been convicted of crimes.
But the reality is many of them were convicted before that information was released.
And do you think that former President Trump has anything to do with this?
No, because you're bringing up a really good point, and your audience and everybody deserves to know the truth about this.
And he's going to go on to say, well, they got convicted before the evidence and the discovery was even released. So very, very interesting exchange there. And Vivek, I think, had a good night. I mean, I think he's talking a lot of truth out there. Now, whether that translates into votes is up to anybody's guess. Here are what the polls say about this, some of the recent ones. Now, this comes over from the betting markets, the election betting odds. And we've got the Betfair S markets, predicted, Poly market, and so on. And so we're seeing if anything had moved recently. Let's see, in the last 4 hours, has anything changed? No, mostly the same. People aren't really moving, looks like moving money around on it right now. So those are the numbers. And we see Nikki Haley, maybe he's down, percentage point, but not a lot of movement here. Vivek up a little bit and DeSantis up as well. So very interesting night. And I think, Vivek he's speaking a lot of truth and he's standing out. Now, again, whether that translates to anything is anybody's guess, but Haley had a tough night. She had a bunch of people coming after her, and we're having conversations about why is Haley getting the extra boost? Why are, the billionaires and the defense contractors and all the people dumping money into her? A couple theories. Well, one might be that they still think that they can take out Trump, right? They can remove him. The conviction would lead to the party saying he's too toxic and they boot him out. Now, obviously, I think that would be catastrophic for the party and probably the end of the Republican Party, but they could do something like that, right? Something else could happen, right? We don't even want to speculate on what that is, but something else could happen. And so it's an investment in Haley, right? They moved their money from DeSantis over to Haley, presuming that she would be the heir apparent. And so you've got, some of those reasons. I've also seen some rumors out there that there's going to be pressure to make Haley the number 2 for Trump, right? So that a Trump-Haley ticket. So, there's a women vote that Trump needs to deal with, and maybe that would satisfy that, by bringing her on the ticket. And so they're investing in her as the second in command, and that Haley could be maybe the balancing, act to Donald Trump in some way, shape, or form, the neocon solution to the anti-neocon. And it is, curious, but why did the money shift over to her? They kind of think maybe she's a safe bet and that maybe he'll pick her not as a matter of Trump's desire, but as a matter of political expediency, right? There's some backroom deal or something that's done. They say Trump will support you with this money, will support you in these states, will support you here, whatever. And so they're putting their money behind her, right? Ron DeSantis is another white guy, by the way, and he's another Florida guy. And so maybe they just say Nikki Haley is the safer bet. But she had a tough night. They were coming after her hard. I think the critiques are well-deserved. I really don't know what explains that 12%. I am very, very tired of war, as I know many Americans are, and I'm very tired of government censorship, government spying, government oversight, government regulation, and she's basically that candidate. So we'll see if anything else happens as the debate becomes interpreted, becomes absorbed by the public. And of course, we'll be here continuing to cover all of the election madness and more. So wherever it is you're watching this, my friends, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for checking out robertgovea.com to sign up for our daily newsletter, to get all these stories delivered to your inbox. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.